What's going on, guys? My name's Alan, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed. This is a show where I review movies, TV shows, games, whatever. And this episode is going to be over Children of Men, which is a movie starring Clive Owen, Julianne Moore, and Michael Caine. This movie is set in a world that there hasn't been a child born in 18 years, and most of the countries in the world have collapsed. And this takes place in England. It's the only country that's supposedly not collapsed yet, but as you can tell, it's pretty much collapsed. It's all but collapsed, I should say. A lot of civil unrest, a lot of rioting, a lot of rebellion, and you can tell it through the world, tell it through the characters, that this is a world that's about over with. As I said, hasn't been child born in 18 years. No one's really sure why. It started off as being just miscarriages, and then it slowly evolved into no one was being conceived at all. So no one's really sure why, though. So in 100 years, though, the human race will be extinct fully. And Clive Owen, which he plays a guy named Theo, he is a former activist of the. He's a former activist, not really of this yet, because he's an activist before this whole thing happens. But he's a former activist. He has a child with Julianne Moore's character, which is also named Julianne. They have a child together. They love each other. Eventually, though, this child dies of a flu, I believe, and they kind of grow apart. But after the child dies, Theo kind of just stops giving a fuck. He doesn't really care about anything anymore. He eventually gets a job. I think he's always had the job, but anyway, he gets a job, and you can tell he just kind of mopes around and doesn't really focus on it too much. Kind of doesn't take it seriously at all. But eventually, Julianne Moore's character, which I said also is also named Julianne, she puts him up to this job, which would escort this woman, Key, right there. She's pregnant, but at the time, Theo doesn't know that yet. He assumes she's just a woman, a friend of Julianne's, and they're offering to pay him very nicely. So he of course accepts it. But it's obviously eventually he finds out that she's pregnant, and this child will be the first child born in 18 years. So that of course shocks him a little bit. And that makes him give a shit again. That makes him start caring about the world again, because this woman here has a chance of giving birth to the first child in 18 years. And you can tell throughout the entire movie that the characters, they're real people. They're not. Theo's character is not this badass like most Hollywood movies. Like movies like this, there's always a badass, and Theo is not that kind of guy. You can tell he's really passive. He's kind of a drunk even. He's a character. He doesn't really. It's so early. He doesn't give a fuck. But in one scene in the movie, he breaks down crying, and Clive Owen is such a good actor that it really looks real. It really looks meaningful. But as I said, Julianne Moore's in this movie. She's a great actress. I wish she was in the movie a little more. I wish she was. It seems like she could have been in the movie a little bit more, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. She's the leader of the main rebel group, and again, she still does care about humanity. She still wants to see it succeed. That's why she's going through these lengths to get this woman to a safe place. She's trying to get them to these scientists. They're in a ship off the coast of England. They're not necessarily off the coast of England all the time, but they're off the coast of England for this one given minute or this one given time frame or whatever. But anyway, so this one thing about this movie that I really love is the scenery, just the presentation in general of the movie. As you can see here, they're entering a ghetto, what I would call a ghetto. It reminds me of ghettos during the Holocaust. Because they're packing thousands of people into a very small town, and it reminds me of ghetto. And the characters, the side characters, the background characters, they're all refugees, because there's a lot of people. Let's start earlier in the video. Much of the world has collapsed. Most governments have collapsed or whatever. So there's a lot of people who are displaced till they end up going to England, because it's the only civilized nation in the world supposedly. And the English government can't take care of them all, so they end up making immigration illegal. They end up putting a lot of people in ghettos, like you're about to see again here in a second. And it's just really, really fucked up. But as I said, the scenery makes it feel that way. It makes you see here, and there's some newspaper on the wall. You really can't tell really well here, but if you're watching the actual movie, you could tell some of the posters talk about nuclear war. There's a scene in the opening bit about New York getting bombed. So as I said, the world around them is fucked up, and so they come here, and it makes the movie seem it makes everybody seem very hopeless. Now right here, there's this I had to include this scene because it was kind of shows a poverty shift here. You see this world that's really poor here, and you're about to see a richer part of town. But anyway, as I was saying, scenery is great. Just the characters really portray and make the world seem like it's fucked up, because it is. And one thing I want to mention here before I forget is this movie does these really long takes without cutting the roll or whatever. Now, what I mean by that is there'll be this long scene where usually a normal movie they'd cut it out, they'd cut it down, make it shorter, make it smooth a little better. But this movie, not every scene of course, but there's a few scenes here and there where the camera will just follow the characters around as opposed to cutting to make it look cooler or whatever it may be. And that is really fucking awesome. I was kind of surprised about that. This is one of the scenes right here where there's not a cut or whatever. I'm not really sure what you call this, but anyway, I remember what this reminds me of the most is Rope about Alfred Hitchcock. Now I haven't seen the movie all the way through. I really wish I could. I will one day, but that movie it was believed to be. Some people still assume that it was just one long take, but what would happen in that movie is they would go behind a character, they'd go behind something where they could stop the roll and make it seem like it's I haven't cut the take yet, but of course they have, because back in Hitchcock's time they didn't have the ability to record that long. I'm not really sure how long Rope is, but I believe it's 60 minutes long. But anyway, it wasn't possible back then. And this movie reminds me of that. It's really done well here. Cinematography is great in this movie. It makes all the sense. But anyway, this is the ghetto scene I was talking about earlier. There's also a scene, as I said just a few minutes ago, that this is one of those scenes that doesn't cut. So I wish I could conclude more of this scene, but I just don't want to. I want you guys to see this movie for yourself. It's hands down one of the best movies I've seen in I'm not trying to word this, but it's definitely my top 5 for sure, I would say, because it's just such a good movie, such an original story, such an original, just everything about it's original. And I love it. Acting's great, characters, story is great, the writing's great, script's great, everything about this movie is great. So definitely, if I was to give this movie a rating, it'd be a 9.5 out of 10 for sure. Something I want to talk about before I forget here. I'm going to try and do any type of any reviewed episode's going to be like this. It's going to be a commentary over some footage of the movie or TV show. I was originally going to do vlogs, but I got bored of that idea. And if you watched the last episode of the show, it was a vlog, and I was not focused on the camera. I was looking off to the side. I was dazing off. It was just really shitty, and I don't want to do that ever again. Of course, I could work on it, but I will end up doing it again, of course. But it's just I didn't have fun doing it. So what I think I'm going to do is do footage like this. Now, one thing I risked doing this is 2 things really spoiling the movie for you guys. I think I've done a good job not doing that. I may have spoiled there's a pregnant woman in the movie, but that was part of the movie's marketing. So anyway, also I kind of risk copyright claims, but I'm not too worried about that because I've seen a lot of footage of this movie. So I'm not really worried about that too much, but hey, it's always a risk, I guess. But anyway, that's the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you guys next time.